This is Fosicam FC1-45. This is a very portable and lightweight gimbal which has many interesting features that makes it very different compared to many other gimbals available in the market. I could not find much information about this gimbal in YouTube. This has a bigger version which is FM1 series, and that has many reviews in the YouTube, but this one, which is a smaller version, FC1 series, I could not find much information. So here I am highlighting all its features very quickly. First of all, this is a very small and portable gimbal. For example, if you compare it with G7x M, and I keep both of them in the same height, you can see this one is much smaller and portable. This is also lightweight compared to Cranium, almost half of the size, half of the weight. This the weight of this gimbal alone is around 500 grams. So it's much more lightweight and smaller. But still, this gimbal has a load capacity of 650 grams. That means you can also use the bigger mirrorless cameras with smaller kit lenses. For example, A6500 with 16 to 50 millimeter lens, kit lens, it was around 580 grams. So you can use this mirrorless cameras also with this gimbal. But mostly this gimbal is focused for smaller cameras like G7x Mark II or Sony RX100 series. So for the travelers, it's a very interesting gimbal, because most of the time you can use your small cameras when you are traveling. But also if you need to use this gimbal sometimes for the bigger cameras, mirrorless camera, then also it's possible. And also it can hold the mobile phones, GoPro also. It has some special modes. First of all, it has this normal modes. For example, this pan mode, pan and tilt mode, complete lock mode, and then it comes its interesting mode, that is, it has this both pan and tilt, and also it can move the camera in this vertical plane. And this mode has very nice interesting uses. For example, if you want to do some kind of in-camera transitions, this is very useful. You can use this for very nice in-camera transition effects. This mode is also useful in case of product reviews, for sometimes to fit the product in the proper frame. It comes very handy if you can rotate the camera in this way. It also can give your footage to special feeling, for example horror feeling or kind of thriller feeling, depending on your own creativity. So the next interesting feature it has is the time-lapse mode. Many other gimbals also have this. So you can set the gimbal on the tripod, set the rotation speed, for example whole 360 degree in 1 minute, or whole 360 degree in 30 minutes or 1 hour, and start the time lapse, and it will and the gimbal will start rotating with that speed. So as you can see, it's not continuously rotating. So now I have set it for 1 minute, and as you can see, it is rotating smoothly around the vertical axis. Now all these modes you can access with specific number of clicks of the menu button here. In most of the gimbal, what happens, you press twice, you go to the next mode. When you press single click, you go to the previous mode. So it goes from one mode to second mode to third mode, like this. So you have to remember from which mode I was before to go back to another mode. But here you can just press specific number of clicks for a mode, and then it goes directly from one mode to another. For example, if right now if I want to go to the locked mode, which corresponds to 3 click, I can just press three times and it goes to the locked mode. I don't need to remember which mode I was before. Pan and tilt mode, for example, corresponds to 2 clicks, so I can press the click 2 and it goes directly to the pan and tilt mode. So this is very useful. You see, this gimbal has a USB port here, and you can charge the Sony cameras while shooting with this USB port. It comes with a USB cable, so you just plug the Sony camera with this USB port, and the internal battery of this gimbal charge the Sony camera while shooting, and that's very useful. It doesn't work with Canon camera because this feature doesn't has in the camera. So the Canon cameras cannot be charged while you are shooting, but Sony cameras are possible to charge while shooting. So if you are using this gimbal with mobile phone, for example, you can connect it with this gimbal with Bluetooth, and then you can use this button to start shooting, start and stop shooting with mobile phone. Now one interesting thing I just found, that when you connect this gimbal with Bluetooth with a mobile phone, it shows the device name, it shows as Pilot Fly, and the Pilot Fly brand has a very similar gimbals, which is in the C45. This is FC1-45, and the Pilot Fly has a gimbal which is called C45, which looks exactly same as this gimbal. So maybe it's my speculation that maybe the manufacturer of this gimbal, the hardware manufacturer of this gimbal and this Pilot Fly gimbal, they are basically same hardware wise, it's just different branding. Just my speculation. Now another very nice feature of this gimbal is about its inverted mode. For most of the gimbals, if you want to do inverted mode, you have to do this sidewise. So if you have to rotate the camera sidewise like that, and then you have to hold this for the inverted mode. For example, this crane M going to inverted mode is a bit tricky because it hits the camera in the sidewise. This gimbal has this 45-degree angle between the two arms, so you can just go to the inverted mode in this way. There is no need to go sidewise for the inverted mode. Okay, like this. Because of this 45-degree angle of this axis, it doesn't block the view of the lens. A few small things. This gimbal has this small screw, which you can, if you open this, it just gives a 1/4 inch screw hole, so you can attach the additional accessories with this gimbal. For example, extra screens, 2 holes for the tripod, one is 1/4 inch and one is 3/8 inch. Now one more good thing about this gimbal, that this gimbal is very cheap. In China it cost me around 1000 Chinese yuan, which is roughly $160, which is relatively very cheap compared to many other gimbals of this kind of features, and it has a good battery life, around 10 hours of battery life, which is very good. But there is a few things about this gimbal which I do not like. The first thing is that the charging system, it comes with a special charger of 16.8 volts, you can see, and the socket is this 2.5 mm round socket, which you have to plug in here to charge. So all the time you have to carry this charger with you. You cannot charge it with standard USB charger, USB-C or micro USB charger, and you cannot also remove the batteries here. the batteries are built in, so you cannot put this gimbal in your check-in luggage, so you have to put it in the with your carry-on luggage. So but if the batteries are removable for joint frame aim, for example, many times I just keep the batteries with me and put the gimbal in my check-in luggage. I cannot also keep extra batteries, separate batteries when you are long day shooting or something like that. Another thing is the build quality of this gimbal, which is not so good. I mean, you cannot see in the video, but if you hold this gimbal and you use this gimbal after you have used joint crane, then you will really notice that this build quality of this gimbal is not that premium like joint crane. For example, in this here, if you look closely, there's a big gap, right? If you look closely, this gap, maybe it's not possible to see in the video, but I can really see the internal coils of the motor through this gap basically. So the gap here is really a large gap. Also in this motor also I can see. So if you're using in a dusty area outside, so it's very possible that dust or maybe water or something can go inside the motors with these large gaps. So these are the two things which I really do not like about this gimbal, but compared to its price and the other features it has, I don't think that these two things are really a deal breaker. So that's all for Fosicam FC1-45. See you next time. Thanks for watching.